Hello everyone, I am Karthik from ITA section and my roll number is 20951230. And coming to concept video, my topic is about what is redux thunk in web application development. So let us know what is this redux and what is this redux thunk briefly in the further slides. So let us dive into our topic. Coming to the introduction. Coming to the introduction, Redux is a popular open source JavaScript library, primarily aimed to cover the management measure states of the application. It is also commonly used to develop user interactive interfaces with React or Angular. Additionally, it is quite absolute to know that the actions of the Redux are dispatched asynchronously, and it is a quite problem of for non-trivial applications that need connections with the application program interface or API to perform external effects side by side. Redux can also be considered as a middleware that deals with the dispatching and reaching between actions and the reducers. Since Redux actions are asynchronously dispatched, two middleware libraries serve the purpose. They are Redux Saga and the Redux Thunk. Here we will discuss about the Redux Thunk. So Redux is a popular and open source JavaScript library, and uh, it covers the management of measure status of the applications. It is commonly used to develop user interactive interfaces with React or Angular. Since the Redux actions are asynchronously dispatched, two middleware libraries serves the purpose. So one of them are Redux Saga and the other one is the Redux Thunk, which is our topic. So we will discuss what is this Redux Thunk in our slides briefly. So what is this Redux Thunk? Thunk is logical concept in programming where you will deal with a function that is primarily used to delay the calculation or evaluation of any operation. Redux Thunk acts as a middleware that will return you a function instead of an object while calling through the action creators. The return function receives the dispatch method from the store and then later it is used to dispatch asynchronously inside the body of a function once the asynchronous actions have been completed. Let's move ahead with the Redux Thunk and talk more about its installation and the usage. So the Redux Thunk acts as a middleware that will return a function instead of an object while calling through the action creators. The returned function receives the dispatch method from the store. So let us know this Redux Thunk and its installation and usage in the further slides. Coming to the installation, before setting up Redux Thunk, we need to set up the dependencies. Since it works collectively for both the client side and the server sides, you might need to have Node or Yarn pre-installed on your system. Run the following command shown below. The command is $npm install redux thunk at the rate 2.3.0, which is the version of the redux thunk. Once you start your yarn or node server, now is the right time to set up the middleware. As the redux thunk is the middleware that resides between action and the reducers, can can change how states behave. In your index.js file, we need to add a store using the composing method. Type the following command as shown below. The command will be in the next slide. So once we'll look at the setup again. So before setting up the Redux thing, we have to set up the some dependencies. So, so through these dependencies, we can collectively run both the client side and the server side. So we need Node or Yarn pre-install on our system. So after installing the Node or Yarn, we'll run a command called $npm install redux thunk at the rate 2.3.0. So once we start our Yarn or Node server, we'll set up the middleware. So the redux is the middleware that resides between the action and the reducers and can change how a status behave. So in our we'll create a index.js file. So we need to add a store using the composing method. So we'll write some commands to store that composing methods in the index.js file. So let us look at that commands in the further slides. So now redux thunk is imported and applied to our application. So we need to write this for importing the redux thunk and to apply to our application. First we have to import apply middleware and compose from the redux, and after writing it we have to import thunk from the redux thunk, and we have to const store equal to create store. We'll write and root reducer, and we have to compose a apply middleware thunk devtools. So by applying this we can import the redux thunk and to our application. This is how we can import the redux thunk and to how we can apply to our application. So the usage of redux thunk in a sample application. Let us look how we can use this redux thunk by taking a sample application. The main objective of using redux thunk is to establish asynchronous communication from the externally present API into fetching and saving data. It makes it easier to dispatch actions that follow the paradigm of the whole lifecycle of request from the external present API. For instance, consider we are creating a tic-tac-toe game. It might involve dispatching an action before we start creating it. So if it is successfully created, we also need to dispatch another action since the game involves the multiple steps. In case an error hops in, we might keep the details saved on the server, and this can be done by making another action for error and dispatch it instead on your container component. Consider the below example for the game. So here we to use this redux thunk, we are taking an example that is creating a tic-tac-toe game. So it might involve a dispatching action before we start creating it. So if it is successfully created, we also need to dispatch another action since the game involves multiple steps. So in case of any errors, we might to keep the details saved on the server, and this can be done by making another action for error dispatch it instead in your container component. So let us look what is this. So for creating the game, we need to import connect from the redux react redux, and the import add to do from the actions, and import we are giving a name new tic-tac-toe from components. New tic-tac-toe, we are creating a file here in the components. So const dispatch to props equal to dispatch. After writing it, we have to return on add a tic-tac-toe. We have to give the file name, and we have to dispatch add tic-tac-toe of tic-tac-toe. After adding this, we have to end the end here and export default connect and null dispatch to props. After writing whole thing, we have to write the file name, which is the new tic-tac-toe. In the above code snippets, we saw how the add tic-tac-toe action creator returns a function and instead of returning a regular object. This function receives the dispatch method directly from the store. If we observe inside the function body, the first dispatch makes an immediate synchronous action, and this action indicates that you started saving your data to the external API. If we receive a response from the server, it marks the action as successful because the data might have received from the response. Yet we again dispatch different synchronous actions if it fails with an error message. So one more example can be taken into account of using redux tongue while starting to dispatch action synchronously. Consider an increment counter where we are applying the middleware as shown below. So const increment counter equal to increment counter function increment, and we'll return type increment counter, and we'll call a function increment asynchronous async, and we'll return dispatch, and we'll set a timeout. So the dispatch increment is about 1000. This is another example. So conclusion, we come across the fundamentals of what is redux and the redux tongue. We also came across various methods of synchronously setting up actions and redux tongue. Acting as middleware is establishing them. It is important to keep in the mind that the redux allows you to synchronously dispatch actions in our React applications while creating and utilizing store and depending on the external API for close call integration of the data. This is about our topic. Thank you.